It was supposed to be just another day at the airport, but what happened next left everyone stunned. A Hollywood legend, Clint Eastwood, an icon who shaped American cinema, standing alone, humiliated by arrogant airport staff who mocked his age and refused him the respect he deserved. Passengers watched in silence, some recording, others whispering, but no one stepped forward to help. It seemed like Clint would be forced to walk away in defeat. But then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, a tall, commanding figure entered the terminal. Barron Trump. What followed was a confrontation so powerful, so unexpected, that it silenced the room and left the airport staff wishing they could turn back time. It was a busy afternoon at JFK International Airport, and the terminal buzzed with the energy of travelers rushing to their destinations. Among them was Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and director, now in his 90s, but as sharp and self-assured as ever. Dressed modestly in a simple blazer and jeans, Clint waited patiently at the check-in counter, his weathered face calm and composed. The young staff behind the counter barely glanced at him. Clint had requested assistance with his boarding process due to his age, but instead of receiving help, he was met with condescension. "Look, sir, we're really busy right now. You'll have to wait," the attendant said curtly, barely hiding her irritation. Clint nodded politely, choosing not to make a scene. Yet, as minutes passed, the staff grew increasingly dismissive. They whispered among themselves, exchanging smirks, clearly mocking the aging icon. "You should have booked first class if you wanted special treatment," one of them muttered, just loud enough for Clint to hear. Finally, as Clint approached the gate, the situation escalated. A supervisor, alerted by one of the attendants, intervened. "Sir, I'm afraid we can't accommodate you on this flight. There's been a mix-up with your booking," the supervisor announced, smirking slightly. Clint's eyes narrowed. "A mix-up? I booked this ticket weeks ago." "Sorry, sir. There's nothing we can do," the supervisor replied, a trace of smugness in his tone. Frustrated but maintaining his dignity, Clint collected his things and stepped aside. Other passengers watched, some recognizing him, whispering amongst themselves, but too hesitant to intervene. Minutes later, a tall young man strode confidently into the terminal. It was Barron Trump, the youngest son of Donald Trump. At 6 feet 7 inches, his towering figure and calm demeanor turned heads wherever he went. Barron, now in his early 20s, was known for keeping a low profile despite his family's fame. Barron had just finished attending a charity event nearby and was flying home. As he approached the gate, he noticed the commotion and recognized Clint Eastwood standing off to the side. Curious, Barron approached him. "Mr. Eastwood?" Barron asked, extending a hand. Clint smiled faintly. "You know who I am?" "Of course," Barron replied, his voice steady and respectful. "My dad's a big fan of your work." "So am I." Clint nodded, clearly appreciating the acknowledgement. "Thanks, kid. Looks like I won't be flying today, though." Barron frowned. "Why not?" Clint explained the situation briefly, his tone resigned but dignified. Barron's expression darkened as he listened. Without another word, he turned and walked straight to the gate counter. "Excuse me," Barron said to the staff, his deep voice commanding attention. "Can someone explain why Mr. Eastwood isn't being allowed on this flight?" The supervisor, caught off guard, stammered, There was a problem with his booking, sir." "Nothing we could do." Barron's eyes narrowed. "Really? Because it looks to me like you're treating him unfairly. Do you even know who he is? This man is an American legend. He deserves your respect, not your disdain." The staff exchanged nervous glances, realizing they were in trouble. The murmurs among the surrounding passengers grew louder as people started recording the interaction on their phones. "Sir, I assure you, this isn't personal," the supervisor stammered. "Not personals?" Barron's voice rose slightly, his frustration evident. "You humiliated him in front of everyone here. That's not how you treat anyone, let alone someone like Mr. Eastwood." By now, a manager had arrived, alerted by the commotion. Recognizing Barron Trump, the manager immediately changed his tone. "Mr. Trump, I apologize for the misunderstanding. We'll get this sorted out right away," he said, sweating under Barron's intense gaze. "You'd better," Barron replied coldly. "And I suggest you apologize to Mr. Eastwood personally. Right now." The staff scrambled to rectify the situation. Within minutes, Clint's boarding pass was reinstated, and he was upgraded to first class as a gesture of apology. The supervisor and attendants sheepishly approached Clint, muttering insincere apologies, but Clint simply nodded, his dignity intact. Barron walked back to Clint and handed him the upgraded boarding pass. "You're all set, Mr. Eastwood." Clint looked at the young man with genuine gratitude. "You didn't have to do that, kid. But I appreciate it." Barron smiled. It was the right thing to do. People like them need to learn that everyone deserves respect. As Clint boarded the plane, the passengers who had witnessed the scene erupted into applause. Barron stood at the gate, watching the legendary actor walk away with his head held high. By the time Barron boarded the flight, news of the incident had already gone viral. Videos of him standing up for Clint Eastwood flooded social media, with captions praising his courage and respect. "Barron Trump just showed the world what true class looks like," one user wrote. The airport staff, meanwhile, faced serious backlash. The supervisor and attendants involved were reprimanded, and the airline issued a public apology to Clint Eastwood. For Barron, it wasn't about the attention or the headlines. As he settled into his seat, he reflected on his father's words. "It doesn't matter who you are. Always stand up for what's right." That day, Barron Trump proved that simple acts of courage and kindness could make a lasting impact. And for Clint Eastwood, it was a reminder that respect and dignity still had a place in an increasingly cynical world. Subscribe to our channel for soul-stirring stories.